Now this is a typical trail. This is the trail, the main trail. Comes up from the bottom runs that cut through the area. Really good cruising runs for bucks. And this is actually a trail that developed because of this water hole. There are some upper trails that head up to the field right up here, but by and large they use these lower trails. They're real secure. They're hidden over the crest of the ridge, and they head behind me at an angle to the food plot. You notice this tree right here? We set this water hole up. This is one of the reasons we set it in this location as opposed to over there, up there. Great camera spot. So we had a camera in this location. It happened to be an infrared from June on last year. Neighbor Colin just pulled it out. I think in January sometime. We moved it to another location. The water's pretty frozen. You can see the activity around here is really doing very well. Now the stand is behind the camera up there. That's, we put this water hole here. Something I can mention, this is very important. And I wasn't smart enough to come up with this idea, but this is something that my lease partner Carl read about. But it's real important to get these sticks in here. We did have a small rodent die in one of our tanks, and if they get in, they can't crawl out. So you need a stick in there for them to get out. What we choose to do, and I've seen people that just simply set this tank right on top of the ground and fill it up. I like this black tank. I like that we dig it in a little bit. It's dug in more than halfway on this side, probably about halfway on the lower side. I think it's more natural for the deer. I really don't know if it matters at all. We have white half-barrel 55-gallon drums that we have dug into this ground in other areas, so obviously the white isn't very natural, but they don't seem to mind that either. But it probably took us 5 minutes to dig this tank in, 10 minutes. Two boys were helping me, so it wasn't really that much of a major problem, but the deer can get in here, and you can see just kind of a reference for myself for size, but we've actually had mature bucks step into the water. We've had a fawn standing here, and really cool picture in November this year, we actually got a young bear standing on the rim of this, just perched right up on to get a drink. We've had some coon dogs from who knows where with collars on come through the area and get a drink, so it becomes a real social hotspot. We've seen raccoons come in here, a lot of activity with squirrels, and so again, that stick is important for the small critters to get out. But at the same time, there's something that and it's in a hidden location. It's in between bedding and feeding. It's not that close to the bedding. It's not that close to the feeding. The important thing, it's very secure. If you're going to stick one of these in an open woods, open hardwoods, with not much cover, not much ground cover between bedding and feeding, you're probably not going to get a lot of activity. A lot of times guys are telling me that the local deer are showing up at their food plots half hour after dark, 3 hours after dark. And what that tells me is they're probably, for one, coming from their neighbors. When you have a deer that's showing up several hours after dark, it's coming from a quarter mile away, half mile away. But two, a lot of that can be fixed because they don't have any solid cover between that bedding area and food source. So the deer don't want to cross that open area. They're not going to do it for water. They're not going to do it for a food source. So when I go to a client property, a lot of times it's about putting those layers of cover in between the feeding and the bedding. Not so much, I mean, it's real important to break it up, offer that thicker cover, but at the same time we can get some of those does to bed up closer to the food source where they want to. That leaves more of this back room for the bucks. And we do have doe bedding behind me up there, and that's something we're really careful about. Spooking, come in from behind the camera, get into the stand location. But I think a lot of times, because we have that doe bedding up closer to the field and in the field itself with the CRP and grasses, because we have secure cover up here, because we have real nice benches and small points down below, we can get does to bed up there, some does bedding in this area a little bit lower, and then bucks not too far away. So we have those layers of cover. We have secure travel from bedding to feeding, and that's what makes this work.